Hi everyone and welcome to the Watch Lobby. In today's video we'll be going over two almost identical Citizens, the Citizen ProMaster Fugu NY0080 and the NY0119, both with full lume dials. Before we get started, if you like what you see, it would mean a lot if you would subscribe to my channel. My goal on the Watch Lobby YouTube channel is to share unfiltered reviews of watches. Now let's get started. Citizen have been making ProMaster dive watches since 1985 with great success. The ProMaster Aqualand that was released in 1985 was the first dive watch that included a digital depth indicator, a true feat for the time. Fast forward some 35 years to 2020 and Citizen are still producing some amazing ProMaster dive watches today, coming with a range of movements including the Eco Drive, made famous by Citizen, and their more conventional automatic movements. In front of us we have two watches that seemingly appear to be the same. If you think that, I don't blame you, because they almost are. I know most of you are keen for a lume shot of these two full lume dial pieces. Here's a quick one. There's some more lume footage coming up later in the video, so stick around for that. Up first in today's video is the ProMaster NY0080-12X, which was released in 2018. This was a limited edition run known as the Fugu, which coincided with their standard ProMaster range at the time, the NY0040 series. The NY0040 series is an absolute cult watch, which saw Citizen use the left-hand crown on the rugged, fit-for-purpose tool watch, in production from 1997 to today. The case from the NY004 series transitioned unchanged for the Fugu release. The case measurement, according to my calipers, come in at a 41.7mm case diameter, 47.1mm lug to lug, and 12.3mm thick with a 20mm lug width. Now despite the case measurements, the watch actually wears quite a fair bit smaller, potentially due to the design of the side case. Now what I mean by that is the side of the case isn't just straight up and down in profile like you see on a lot of other watches. The side of the case here is rounded off, tapering down to where it meets the case back. The case finishing is nothing special though. A simple polished side case and brushed lug hoods finish the case off. With the crown unconventionally on the left and the curved design to the case, for those that wear their watches on their left hand, it is a match made in heaven. I really don't know why more manufacturers don't do this. Taking a closer look at the crown, we have a knurled signed crown. It's great to see a signed crown at this price point. The case protrudes slightly around the crown to create seamless crown guards. What is nice here though is Citizen have polished the crown guards which seemingly make them disappear into the case. A subtle but great touch. The crown itself is screwed down, giving the ProMaster its 200m ISO certification. Topping off the case is a 60-click bezel with aluminium bezel insert. To be quite frank, it's rubbish. No one should be using a 60-click bezel in modern watchmaking, especially in pieces aimed at collectors. It personally makes the watch feel like a toy. I absolutely dislike this aspect of the watch, and knowing how simple it is to actually make the change to a 120-click ratcheting bezel leaves me as a collector disappointed. The NY0080 gets sealed up with a subpar mineral crystal. Again, for a watch aimed at the collector, this needs to be a sapphire. Another opportunity missed. Obviously though, that's not why I have this particular Fugu in my collection. The reason is mainly the full lume dial. Yeah, I know, it may be childish, it may be a novelty, but I love it. I'm not actually a diver that will use the dial to its full potential, but it's absolutely amazing. The dial is packed with a generous amount of lume. Let's not forget the fact that Citizen also loomed up the chapter ring, which they could have easily left out. Another perfect touch is with the negative lume hour indices, except for the 12, 6 and 9, which are loomed, however bordered, and obviously no lume on the blacked out day date wheel at 3. The day wheel can show the day in both English and Japanese kanji. If you haven't owned a full lume dial, I suggest trying one out. For me, it's a novelty that hasn't worn off in over 2 years. While we're here, let's talk about the hands. A large, chunky hour and minute hand filled with a generous amount of lume, The hour hand in that iconic Citizen orange, which also matches the tip of the Seconds hand. Looking at the print on the dial, we see the word Citizen at 12 o'clock, and at 6 we see a red ProMaster logo, the words Automatic and Divers 200 meter in black. Fairly minimalistic, which all balances out the dial well. As we flip the watch over, we'll see a very lightly engraved Fugu or pufferfish, and the inscriptions of Limited Edition, Citizen Watch Co, and Divers 200 meter, along with the model reference and serial number. Inside this funky, quirky diver is the Miyota 8203. Again, I think another missed opportunity. Should the Fugu have seen a Miyota 9000 series? It potentially would have elevated the piece. The 8203 feels exactly like you'd expect from an entry-level movement. It does hand wind fairly smoothly, setting the time is okay as expected, but the day and date change are fairly notchy. But I guess it's Citizen's workhorse movement, which is tried and tested, which shouldn't give you any headaches. Its accuracy is rated at plus 10 seconds to minus 20 seconds a day and beats at 21,600 beats per hour, which gives the movement a power rating of roughly 45 hours. All in all, the NY0080 is an okay package. Would I buy it if it didn't have a full Lume dial? I don't think so. It just lacks some refinements for a watch that retailed right around 500 to 600 Aussie dollars. You can find the non-full Lume dial for a couple of $100 less on the grey market, but again, I don't think they tick the right boxes. For me, the full Lume dial is a true selling point of the Fugu line. I intentionally left the bracelet last to discuss. None of the NY0080 series pieces come with a bracelet. The bracelet you see here has been taken from the NY009 series Fugu, which again share the same case. I won't go into too much detail on the bracelet, but solid end links, solid links, push pins and a press clasp, lacking a flip lock which I would expect to see on a dive watch. What the NY008 series did come on though is a standard diver's rubber strap. A rubber strap which you'll almost certainly swap out for another strap sooner rather than later. It's just way too hard and uncomfortable for my liking. Mine lasted less than a day before being switched out. Now, if you're looking for a tried and true full Lume dial watch, then what's coming up next might be for you. Earlier this year in 2020, Citizen released a new Fugu full Lume diver. No, you're not seeing double, there are actually two different pieces. If you are only going to buy one ProMaster, I think these are the ones to have. The NY01 series. This one is the NY0080 You may or may not notice the case is slightly larger. The changes are fairly small, but overall really do wonders for the proportions. Coming in with a 43.7mm case diameter, 12.5mm case thickness, and a lug-to-lug of 49.5mm, all while keeping the same 20mm lug width. The case diameter has grown by 2mm and the lug-to-lug by about 2.5mm, but the case thickness almost remains the same, only growing by 0.2mm. To me, with the new proportions of the 2020 Fugu, it feels like this piece now sits a lot flatter on the wrist. I've embraced the new case dimensions and I absolutely love it. Now don't let the measurements of this one fool you. Like the previous generation, this one also wears small, keeping the same rounded side case profile. In terms of case finishing, everything remains the same. Just think that you've got on your phone and you've zoomed in. It seems like that's exactly what Citizen did here. Naturally, with the larger case, the bezel proportionately gets larger. But here is where I think Citizen listened to their customers. 120 click bezel, it just immediately elevates the watch from feeling like a toy to actually feeling like a solid piece. Well done to Citizen there. The Lume dial almost remains the same other than the size change, but Citizen replaced the red ProMaster logo as found on the first generation Fugu with a black ProMaster logo. And the minute hand gets a touch of red instead of orange, also matching the red tip on the seconds hand. The day-date wheel this time around is white. My preference is with the black day-date wheel as found on the 2018 release. Topping off the dial is one of the most welcome changes for me. It's the introduction of a sapphire crystal. Thank you, Citizen. That's what watch collectors want. Looking at the case back of the 3rd generation Fugu, we see the same Fugu logo, but this one has been engraved deeper into the case back. The word limited edition gets replaced by the word limited A, followed by the limited edition number of the piece. In this release, all pieces are individually numbered out of 2000, plus the inscription of the word sapphire crystal are the main differences between the two Fugus. Inside the 2020 release is again the NY0080 Come on, Citizen, you were so close to knocking this one out of the park. The last update that the 2020 release got was a better rubber diver strap. Considerably softer than the original piece, which again is a welcome change for those that prefer wearing these on rubber. Something that remained unchanged amongst all their releases is their packaging. Who doesn't like some cool and funky packaging? These come with a cool scuba tank watch case, a nice touch. Maybe I'm just a sucker for novelties. It's now time for what most people came here for, the Lume shot. Look at how bright these shine. When I got the 2018 release a couple of years ago, it was my first time experiencing a full Lume dial firsthand. The pictures and videos you see online don't really do the Lume on these pieces much justice. The video you see now is raw, unfiltered, unadjusted footage of the Lume captured in a dark room with a minute of charge from the torch of my iPhone. Unbeatable Lume that in the dark room is a real conversation starter. Wrapping up the review or comparison, whatever you want to call it, Citizen largely listened to their customers with the new release. All the changes in the 2020 release are welcomed with open arms. Maybe it's just a marketing ploy and in the next release we'll see the same watch with an upgraded movement. In my opinion, it's the only thing lacking from the 2020 3rd generation. Add in a NY0080 series and a solid bracelet and this will be a knockout piece. As for the 2018 release, it's just lackluster. Albeit fun and funky, it just lacks the refinement that watch collectors are looking for. If you're looking for a full Lume Fugu and you can get away with the extra 2mm of case size, I would definitely go for the 2020 NY0119 release. With that, we've come to the end of this video. I wanted to take the chance again for those of you that made it to the end. Thank you so much for sticking around. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. And as always, thank you and stay safe.